Hi, welcome back to Golf Training Hacks. You know, so many golfers have a problem with standing up at impact. Now, what do I mean by standing up at impact? Well, it's really simple. It means your hips are going to the ball. But in a golf swing, throughout most of your golf swing, you want your hips to go away from the ball. And that's a hip hinge. So this is a hip hinge. It's real simple. That's a hip hinge. And you need to keep that at impact. Now, there are a couple of reasons why. We need to de-loft the club, because we want to get compression on the golf ball. That's going to give us a more solid hit. And also by de-lofting the club, you're going to get more control of the club head. And to do that, you need to have some hip hinge at impact. You can't stand up. Here's why. It's really kind of simple. Let's take an extreme example of a hip hinge at impact. I'm going to go into a deep hip hinge, and my chest is really going to cover the golf ball. Now, in order to get the club head back to the golf ball, I need to take a real extreme shaft angle here. As I lose the hip hinge and as my chest begins to uncover the ball or come up, the shaft angle gets more vertical and then it goes away. And if I really drive my hips into the ball, like a lot of people do when they're striking the ball, you completely lose that shaft angle. You lose compression, you lose control of the club head. Now, it's really easy to get into a hip hinge when I'm just standing here. But it's not so easy when you're swinging a golf club because there's so much rotational force in a golf swing. A lot of recreational golfers just don't have the strength in their hips and lower body to control the rotational forces and stay into this nice compressed position at impact. So in this video, we're going to demonstrate several of our hip hinge exercises from our hip hinge program. Now, this hip hinge program is designed to give you strength in your hips and lower body so that you can control the rotational force of a golf swing and you can get that nice shaft lean and control that club head at impact because we need to get that compression. So let's get started getting some strength into your hips. So what is a Romanian deadlift? Well, it's actually the top of the deadlift. So I'm going to demonstrate it with this light bar. So what you need to do in a Romanian deadlift is keep your shoulders engaged. So this bar is going to just drag up and down my pants, and my hips are going to go backwards. Now I'm going to keep my knees at a very slight angle. So they're not stiff, I'm just bending them a little bit. And that angle that I start with is the angle I want to keep through the whole exercise. So I want to establish a neutral spine, some extension in my lower back, some flexion in my T-spine, and a little bit of extension in my cervical spine. So I set my back position, I bend my knees a little bit, and now the movement is backwards. Hips go back, so I'm engaged, the bar is engaged onto my legs, my shoulders are back, my hips are going back, and I'm keeping this neutral spine all the way down and up. I'm not so worried about going down that far. It's only to where I can go. So neutral spine, hip hinge back. The knee angle that I started with is the knee angle I want to keep. I keep that neutral spine, and then I'll just do repetitions like this. Hips go back, hips go back, hips go back, spine stays neutral, and then I come up. So that's the technique of a Romanian deadlift. So classically, the Romanian deadlift is done with a barbell and plates. As I said, it's actually the top of a deadlift. So I'm not going to go into the deadlift right now, but I'm just going to deadlift this bar up, and then I'm going to do a Romanian deadlift once it's in the right position. So I'm going to deadlift this bar up. Now I have the bar where I want it on my legs. My shoulders are engaged. I bend my knees just a little bit. They stay bent at that angle. And now my hips go back, hips go back, hips go back. I keep that neutral spine and come up. Hips go back, the bar is engaged. Hips go back, hips go back, hips go back, and up. From the front, I'm going to just deadlift this up. So from the front, a Romanian deadlift looks like this. I have my shoulders engaged, the bar is rubbing on my pants all the way down, shoulders engaged, my back is in neutral position. Now my knees are slightly bent, my feet are about shoulder width, and I'm going down, my back stays neutral, and up. My knee angle doesn't move. Stand all the way up. There's no shrug here. It's just standing up. Back stays neutral. Knees stay at the same angle. And that's a Romanian deadlift from the front. So that's classically the way you would do a Romanian deadlift with a bar. You can also do a Romanian deadlift with a dumbbell. It's the same thing. Neutral back, knees are slightly bent, hips go back. I keep that neutral spine. Shoulders are engaged, hips go back. From the front, I engage my shoulders, neutral spine, my knees are bent slightly, hip hinge back and up. Hip hinge back, and I'm keeping my chest up. So I'm not looking down like this. Chest up, shoulders engaged. I'm also not dropping my shoulders. So you can do it one dumbbell or two. Two dumbbells, same idea. Neutral spine, knees slightly bent, engage your shoulders, down. From the front, shoulder width, chest up, engage your shoulders, neutral spine, knees at a slight angle, and the hips go back. So that's an RDL with dumbbells. You can do a single leg RDL with a dumbbell. Now I'm putting the dumbbell so that it's centered on my right leg. Shoulders engaged, chest up, neutral spine, slight angle in my knee. From the side, shoulders engaged, neutral spine, slight angle in my right knee. The weight is centered on my thigh, and down and up. So you can do it with one dumbbell or two. It's a single leg RDL with two dumbbells. Whether you use one dumbbell or two, it's a great exercise for single leg stability and strength.